Hello, mi gente. Aquí estamos. It's Alex E.
Hello, welcome to another happy hour with the Perez sisters. I just want to say thank you for all of you who have recently subscribed to our channel. We've been having lots of fun reading your comments. So if you don't know, the little video that we did about You Don't Look Puerto Rican got quite a little splash in all the places that we posted that video. And it created a lot of sidebar conversations for us. And we always love to hear from you guys. So keep it going, please.
Thank you and welcome, community. Because if you know the sisters, we love to grow and adopt the community.
So, first off, I want to say, Alex, interesting shirt you're wearing.
Multi-dimensional. Let me get. There we go. Dimensional. That's right.
And I'm wearing a shirt that my sister actually got me. Beat me up, Scotty. It's like a little private joke with the sisters. If you know, is what we'll say. But what's interesting about the fact that she's wearing a red shirt and I'm wearing a blue shirt is because my sister and I went to an event the other day at Nikola's bookstore. Shout out to Nikola's bookstore in Brooklyn. Shout out to Monique. Shout out to everyone who has been a part of that beautiful environment, creating it, loving it up. Shout out to our crystal mama, Kafunia. She was very instrumental in breaking me open to the magnificence of crystals, and which is, the beautiful rocks that nature has created that my sister and I work with and use on a daily basis. And right now I'm hanging out with a garnet and a shungite. Do you and have you been hanging out with any? I already know what she's doing. Any bet she's gonna pull out a crystal out of her pocket.
Yeah, that's right. I wanted to show you that I've been hanging out with my bud shungite. I'm gonna come in a little closer. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Yeah, that's my little bud. This is like my travel shungite. And I particularly love to reach for it when I feel like I just need some centering, some grounding, and some extra shielding.
Yeah, and with the type of days that we've been living, shungite has been very helpful. Especially, I like to look at it as a kaka reducer of the kaka you don't need, that energetic crap. But it not just like energy vibe from people, just the EMF stuff, the stuff that bothers us as human beings. Like we work with the technology, for example, and we use Wi-Fi to connect and be able to transmit messages, but at the same time having those devices, smart meters, Wi-Fi around your person too much. We've been talking about it. Like right now, we're in a new season as humans, and it hasn't been that long that the world was introduced to the internet, that we were introduced to having a little computer and in our back pocket, and in a sense, these devices enhance the level of dimensions in a sense that we can go to. We're living in curious times where people, or maybe the technocratic communities, societies of the world, want to keep our little eyes engaged primarily on the technology. But my sister's wearing a very important shirt with a very important message that we purchased from someone that we value and have great regard. Shout out to Red Pill and Blue Pill. They are two brothers, twins, by the way, that are in this community, conscious community. And we on Monday night had a beautiful moment at Nikola's bookstore, vibing with everyone there. It felt like, I don't know, like it was multi-dimensional learning, multi-dimensional communication, multi-dimensional synchronicities, right? Like we took bus 44 to go to an event, and one of the brothers is known for talking about the number 44 a lot. So it's really interesting, just the dynamic. And then synchronicities, as we were going into the event, we walked into the place at the same time as Red Pill was coming in, and my sister's wearing Red Pill shirt, and I'm wearing a blue shirt, and it's almost like we're twinning representing red and blue, and without trying to it's the beautiful, I think, reflection that we have as sisters. Many times when we go to an event, there is something about the way we dress that has a symmetry, a balance, or sometimes we look like straight up twins, like we planned our outfit.
Yeah, it's never, mi gente, we really don't like to plan outfits, and well, we have a lot of synchronistic moments all the time. Like, honestly, I could be having a random walk on a random day at a random time and take a turn on a random corner and just bump into her. And we'll kind of just look at each other like, ay, Dios mío, because
All the time.
it just happens. Because you know why, family? There is no such thing as coincidence, only synchronicities, because at the end of the day, we are all connected, energy, everything has energy, everything, receives, and everything, also, I'm thinking it in Spanish, I can't find the word in English. Like everything transmits, but also receives, And this is why we all walk around all the time and have those beautiful, psychic moments. I know sometimes people are a little afraid of that word, but ultimately it's just having a synchronistic moment where, you kind of get on the same frequency with someone else. I mean, as a little example, how many times have you thought about somebody you haven't seen or spoken to in a few months, and all of a sudden that person, they just give you a call? You both got on that same frequency, and I love those moments. And I'm gonna tell you something, no matter how many times I experience those moments, I freaking love it. It always makes me feel very humbled. It always reminds me of how little yet how big I am, because we're both, we're very, like, in the grand scheme of things, we're like itty, but we're actually really powerful. And I feel like Monday night, being in this beautiful community of this beautiful kind of medicine conversation, multi-dimensionally existing and receiving and transmitting and learning, you get reminded of how important it is to walk with that sense of intention and conscious with, how we're carrying ourselves, what we're thinking within, the words we're speaking, how we're communicating and connecting with those that we love, because we are really powerful beings. And I think that,
I'm gonna have to put the microphone right there.
So many of us, this girl's obsessed. Like, hello, you keep cutting my train of thought.
I'll tell you why later, because when you're editing in the background, it's hard.
Okay, so killed my
I was just the
pero she did. She killed my whole spiel. But
I didn't mean to. You're saying something important. I want people to hear you.
I know, pero ya se me fue. It doesn't matter. I probably just wasn't meant to be. It was probably existed in another dimension. But in any case, walked out of that experience feeling very fed and energized. And ultimately, it's not just because of the conversation and the intention happening there and being created there, and that it's only unique to that. The truth is that we all have access to that. We can all create moments and conversations and those beautiful vibrations if we try to be more mindful and more intentional with ourselves. We are our biggest resource: our time, our energy, our thoughts, our frequency. What was it that Tesla said? If you want to know the secrets of the universe, study what frequency, energy, and there's the third one. What's the third one?
I'm gonna have to look it up.
We'll have to look up that particular thing, but you know, this is how we all really communicate. A lot of times you don't need words; you just tap in and you feel into the vibe. But I feel like when you put it into the grand scheme of life that we're living, there's so much happening in the world right now, and a lot of what people are focusing on is the literal chaos, the physicality of things, and you have to kind of remind yourself to step back and remember, well, we're not just 3D, we're multidimensional beings. That means that everything existing and happening all the time, there's a multi-layered experience happening. So what are you going to feed? It's up to we do have that sovereignty to decide what we are going to feed ourselves internally, but then also what we're going to contribute to.
That reminds me that on Saturday we were in an event, and when I got home, one of our loved ones was asking if we were okay, if there had any incidences. And later I learned that about the same time, while we were having an event, not too far from where we were, there was a protest, and a complete different vibe, a complete different thing was happening there that made whatever we were experiencing just listen. We were both in Lower Manhattan. This protest, this chaos, the arrests were happening both in Lower Manhattan. Meanwhile, we were in this beautiful bubble, and like you said, everything is existing at the same time. And what are you feeding? So in the last couple of days, where certain parts in the city or cities in different, like LA, Chicago, have exploded in little parts with this chaos, we've been in this bubble, in this multi-dimensional high vibe. Have been making conscious choices to be more mindful with how we share and spend our energy. And I remember Reverend Ike would caution, the late Reverend Ike would caution with using that word spend, right? It's like investing. And, how are you investing your time? Companies spend a lot of energy and time and resources researching how they can capitalize on our attention, because they know it benefits their pockets. Our attention can benefit growth, investment. Our attention can be poured into our dreams, and it can be poured into maybe supporting other people's dreams. What was special about then the Monday night event that we went to is that literally everything that we're speaking about right now was happening in that place. Multi-dimensional conversations were happening. If you don't know anything about anything, but you just walk into that space and you just feel with all of your senses, it feels amazing. You feel like you're being held. And then every interaction that we had with people was thoughtful and just lovely. Like we felt spoiled. And at the same time, I feel grateful that we had that beautiful experience. And then I just have to say that if it couldn't get any better, someone showed up at the event that we had no idea was even going to be there. His name is Black Dot. He is someone that we've been really, I don't even know, like the word fan doesn't, it cheapens the great respect that we have for this man. Like when he walked in, it was like, oh my God, like I think we got more excited that when people see like an A-list celebrity that you know you have nothing in common with, but you know that person's. This was not like that. This felt like, oh my God, like this human being with so much knowledge and presence and wisdom has just walked into the room. And when it's like a level of understanding and also appreciating people who take their time to share their wisdom, their insights, because they know that maybe they didn't have that for themselves, or they look around and they know that maybe certain communities don't really have too many people speaking the good word, bringing people up. We have, as we say over and over again, a loneliness epidemic. We have a crisis with all age groups of non-trust, of people who are frustrated because they don't even know how to take the first step and how to even seed their dreams. And sometimes you don't need to know anything, but take a step and be in an environment that feels more soothing to your soul. Because when my sister and I left that event, I mean, I'm still feeling the 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 ripples, because it keeps rippling, and sometimes it even gets even more expansive when your soul mixes it up in a environment like that. Because you have to understand, just like when we go in the morning and we mix it up with folks, let's say in the New York City subway, and maybe you might be on the wrong train car where everybody's cranky and nasty and a real hot second, chaos pops. This is different, right? It's like everything just feeds. It's like a constant like giving and an appreciation moment. And everybody that's coming in is appreciating one another's presence, not from a cheesy like fake space, but from a human grounded place. It's moments like that that are not only healing to the soul, but remind a person that goodness exists, that there are real people with good hearts that are building and want not only to build for themselves legacies, but want to help other people create and co-create their legacies. And I think that, in these messages is like, what do you feed, right? Like we have our friend Mark 4NY who always says, choose your heart. Everything in life is, it's gonna take some work, it's gonna take some time. Things may not happen overnight. You might be listening to this message and maybe you might be experiencing maybe one of your toughest moments right now. A lot of us, without sharing details, have not been having the most winning moments. But guess what? Every single day, every single moment is a chance to start again, to take a deep breath. And sometimes you do, for your wellness, switch the station. And sometimes that means you don't go to that event. And sometimes that means you don't go to that party. Because is it going to feed you or is it going to take from you?
Yeah, I have a great friend who would always say, some things are life giving while others aren't. And I think that's what, being in a community setting like that feels like. You're surrounded by just a lot of high vibing people, high conscious people. And not because everyone's the same either, but that's just what everyone's putting forth and in their presence in the moment. And it just is very life giving, So you walk out with that almost like sense of refreshment, And for people like us who have been very on the street, boots on the ground type of work for many years, and even when we had our spiritual metaphysical shop, it was very boots on the ground work too, because you're dealing, just raw with anyone walking in a very raw, unprepared, like you got to be open for who's coming in and being ready to support in the best way you can in the moment. So you're always just very present, which is, builds a lot of great muscles. But when you are sometimes in some of these, like, and especially in the last few years, the latter years, more boots on the ground, it's very rough and rugged worlds, and sometimes you almost get a little bit too caught up in them, the physicality of it, just because you do got to be present, when you get into communities and conversations where you're getting all of these like multi-dimensional interaction happening, you get reminded, well, wait a second, this is exactly who we are. And when we, kind of circling back to what you were saying at one point about all of our gadgets, it's all psychological. Like all these apps, all these gadgets, it is done to grab our attention, right? These things are purposeful. Otherwise, I think their product would suck if they didn't know how to grab our attention, right? And I think that we've seen that they've been very good at doing so. But I think what they do, in one way, it's blessed us with so many opportunities to, like my sister was saying, has opened up so many like sort of dimensions even with these gadgets. But at the same time, it's closed a lot and created sometimes more stagnancy, isolation. Then it's almost like you're not getting what you should be getting. So it sort of defeats the whole purpose. So while sometimes we have what they say, everything at our fingertips, for a lot of people, the way they're using and working with these gadgets, it's the opposite. They're not doing anything at all. They're just stuck. And on top of it, if all you're receiving is negative or heaviness, that's not going to help with movement. So I feel like, like we always like to say, everything in moderation. And when you have moments like this, and my sister and I have been sharing throughout the weeks different experiences that we've been pushing ourselves to go do, that we enjoy, that we just haven't gotten around to do it, like going to see one of our friends who just released a book, authors. Like we've been having all of these specific experiences, and they've all been just energizing to us and feeding us in different ways. And I feel like that's it. It's like a lot of us have stopped feeding ourselves in all the ways that we should be feeding, mind, body, soul. Remember, we are multidimensional. We should be feeding all elements of who we are. Otherwise, you're ultimately just, walking with your body, but a lot of parts of you are just heavy and stagnant and not growing. And, when we look around and we see people who are angry or bitter or just sad, in my opinion, I feel like a lot of it is just people so disconnected with their soul that they don't even know what they're getting up for most of the day. They're literally on survival mode, So I am so grateful to be able to not just meet people that we've been following and learning from. I like to look at them, like you were saying, how it's hard to find the right words to describe how we look at these people. Like, I don't ever like to use the word fan because I'm not a fan of anyone, but I look at them more like teachers, like mentors, even if I'll never meet them. Like there's people that, to me, I have labeled a fantastic mentor in my life for years and years, and teachers, and I may never ever meet them. Maybe the only ways that I will learn from them will be strictly through their, talks, through their, books, through whichever medium that I'm working with or receiving from. But when we are blessed to meet some of these people live and in living color after they have literally been instrumental in some of our perspectives and growth, it's such a beautiful moment. It's a moment you appreciate, and especially when they're elders in the community, because if I'm going to tell you the truth, and this is a longer conversation for another day, but obviously not all of the older people in our community have become elders.
This is
And
true.
this is so indicative of how broken so many of our communities and families have become, how broken society has become, that we're barely producing elders who should be teaching, guiding, mentoring, who should be looked at with that level of respect and excitement and joy to learn from.
Right.
And of course, everyone has their story. Like I said, it's another story for another day. But I know for my sister and I, when we're ever blessed to meet someone that we look at like that with that level of respect, is not something we take for granted. And yes, we were walking out of there feeling
Like we were vibing high.
yeah.
Like we were vibing high because in terms of like elder, like we're not saying that these people are super old.
No.
Some of them could be, but they've poured in their wisdom. They've repurposed whatever they've learned through life to share it with others, to lift solely for the purpose of lifting up the community. And Black Dot, him and his son, remember when they launched Urban X, one of my favorite podcasts, father and son podcast. Can you imagine? We've been watching Urban X since episode 1. And whenever one of their episodes would come on, we would tell the other if the other one didn't know that it was coming on. And a lot of times it would be a synchronicity because we were already watching at the same time. True. Same thing with Red and Blue Pill and Melanin Mondays and Third Eye Thursdays, if I'm not mistaken. Please don't hate us, but it's been a while. So when you're watching people that are feeding the community with wisdom, with ways to lift them up, and they're just constantly just from the goodness of their heart just pouring on, and for us to have the opportunity to be in the same space, like not only were we surprised that Black Dot came into that place, but there was an open seat and he sat right next to me. I thought I was gonna pass out because of like excitement. Like the little kid in me was like, oh my God, this man that we have such great respect for is not just walked into the room, but he's literally sitting right next to us. And it is a time, it is always really important to say thank you, to acknowledge, to appreciate those people who have served and continue to serve as elders in your life, whether you meet them in person or not. Saying a little thank you goes a long way.
And means a lot. And just, sister reminder, it's not easy to work with folks or to be guiding or to be trying to share your wisdom or because sharing your wisdom is also sharing your vulnerabilities, is sharing the ways that you have made mistakes, the ways that you have fucked up, sometimes your hardest, darkest moments. And when you're trying to do that, when you're opening yourself like that to community with the intention of hopefully it can inspire or support or help heal someone. It's not easy. You're not always going to get love. When a big light is trying to, kind of share their wisdom through, via their light in different capacities, they're not always, what they attract back is not always going to be light filled, And any of you, we all know, like folks are not always easy to deal with. So you got to give people that extra sense of respect when they say, I've been working with people. And it doesn't matter in what capacity. You're a teacher, you work in a store, like in any way that you work with someone or with people constantly, with much respect to you, because it is never an easy thing to do, at least not all the time. So we definitely, like my sister was saying, I think we make a great point, like take advantage of the times you have to say thank you to those people in your life. And it doesn't have to be the elder. It could be just someone you've been following, someone that you listen to, someone that you read their books, but somehow you have received something that has been very inspirational or helpful to you or for you. Reach out to those people. Like my sister was saying, email, if they're on social media in any capacity. And of course, if you get the chance to meet them in person, because It's touching.
It
It's rewarding. You know, like people. I think no matter what, people love to feel good. See, even even Eric Adams.
Even little Eric Adams.
But
Oh
yes.
my God.
So, you know, we are constantly learning from other people in our life, all different ages and all different capacities. And I would say that one of the big messages this week that I think has been coming up for us over and over, including on Monday night when we were at this event, is the reminder of checking in with ourselves and really seeing, are you walking through life in receiving mode, or are you walking through life in that shutdown, I'm shielded, I'm blocking, making excuses mode, walking through life? How are you walking? Because I think that we're all guilty of doing that at some time in some way. And I loved the way that this week for me, and probably for you outside of that one night, that message has been coming back more than once. And I've been saying to God and the universe, okay, I hear you. I am listening, and I am so thankful for that message, because it doesn't matter how many times you hear it or how many times you learn it. We all fall off the wagon sometimes, A, and B, sometimes we don't even realize we're blocking shit.
So, mi gente, don't feel guilty. Life, everything is in stages. Life is like this, right? The the fullness of life. Some things are gonna be up. Some things are gonna be a little low. That's part of life. Don't feel guilty about the things that maybe you haven't been able to get back to yet. But the fact that you can set an intention right now to maybe get back to painting, if that's what you like to do, or drawing, or writing poetry, take a little step. Feed something within you that you haven't done, something that excites you. It could be going to a restaurant by yourself, calling up a friend, and maybe sharing a little dinner or picnic. Make it yours. Be creative with it, and tell us the bochinche down below in the comment section, because these two sisters are always adopting family members, and I just want to say thank you again for your presence, and thank you again for being here with us, and we'll see you soon again.
Mi gente, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, share, por favor. Join the community. Everyone have a blessed week, and we shall see you soon. Ciao.